people got shot. But why is it not that way now?
I don't have the answer to that question. I will say that with our story, look, we made some mistakes. And if we had it to do over again, would I do some things differently? Of course. But journalism is not a precise science. I did at the time what I thought was journalistically and ethically the thing to do. And this is the salient point. Our story was true. You can argue, and this is a successful attack was launched on us. They couldn't attack the facts. They couldn't attack the truth of the story. So they attacked the process by which we arrived at the truth. Was the process flawed? Yes, it was flawed. Was it flawed more than it should have been? Yes. Am I responsible for some of that? Yes. You may want to say I'm responsible for all of it, but this is the point. The story was true. It was true then, it's true now. The process was flawed. That's a different thing than a story is proven to be wrong, that you don't get to the truth. Now, as to why we suffered as we did, and perhaps I should use another verb rather than suffered, but nonetheless, whereas other people who do stories that are untrue don't suffer the same fate, I don't have the full answer. I will say this, that Viacom was at a particular point where when this story broke, preceding it, during it, and afterward, they were in negotiations. Their lobbyists were trying to get all kinds of things passed in Washington, put into effect in Washington, that would result in tremendous profits for Viacom. Now, one of the things I hope people take away from this film, because it's so important, is the point that what has changed in journalism is the involvement with large corporate power being, excuse my phrase if you must, being in bed with big government in Washington, whether that government's in the hands of Republicans or Democrats at any given time. Now, having said earlier in our discussion, there was a time when there was a firewall between the corporation, but what was revealed in this case was when the White House and powers in the Republican Party began to scream about the story. They didn't scream the story was untrue, but they said, you know, Rather and his crowd have made some mistakes, and started demanding that we retract the story, which, by the way, the story was never retracted. We apologized for the documents, but didn't retract the story. But at any rate, the amount of influence that the lobbyists had with the corporation, which in turn influenced the news division, is really stunning. And that has changed. And we talk about the corporatization and politicalization of news today. See, what this film Truth is about at base is less about me or Mary Mapes or even former President George W. Bush. What it's about at base is what's happened to the news, why it's happened, how it's happened, and why you should care.
Before we take a question, in my lifetime,